What's going on, everybody? Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord, here with you on our lovely Thursday night gathering. Here to talk to you about what I am seeing. And yes, I've been so busy this week. I've not been busy with really much of anything fun, though. We had a bunch of unit notices. We got a ton of showings this weekend already. Yes, I know it's true. And yeah, just absolutely slammed. And then on top of that, I spent, let's see, Thursday, I spent 2.5 hours in a dentist chair on Tuesday. And then I spent 3.5 hours in a dentist chair today. So that all sucks. And it's been a long time coming, been trying to get to it. Couldn't do it obviously when I was working. It's Mountain Dew, not beer. Couldn't do it really when I was working, and then insurance has changed, and then they do like this, hey, 6-month thing. So holy Toledo. It's been more than a little bit crazy, but we finally got all that stuff. And then you try and get on the schedule and you're 3 months out or 4 months out on the schedule. It's just kind of crazy. But yeah, I got all my teeth left. See, got them all. Well, actually not all, but that wasn't this time. that was a few times ago. Yep. That was, I want to say that was an errant stick that basically killed the tooth. And then, sometimes things like that happen. Didn't get punched out though. So yeah. So we'll see how long my face can handle this. But we're going to go. So, watching rates, obviously tariffs going into effect today and everybody's having a conniption fit. Obviously for the last 2 weeks, I've been on with my banks pretty much every 2 or 3 days, just talking to them about, hey, what are you going to see in rates? And, if they dip, are you guys going to react quickly, or kind of what's that going to look like? So definitely rates are down. I was working with somebody today that actually on a fourplex, in fact, I want to repeat this verbatim. On a fourplex, they just got, let's see, they got, they got 526. 526. That was with lending one. That was on a refi. 526 on a fourplex. A little bit crazy. That's a nuts number. Won't lie. That's a freaking nuts number. And that was with buy down. So it obviously had some buy down in it. I don't know how much buy down. I asked, but I don't see the answer here. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's opportunity there. Now you've got to, one of the things that, I always do is I always tell you what I'm doing. Because do it, don't do it. I don't care. But here's one of the things that I'm doing. I actually am running the numbers on all my deals, but I'm running them rent box backwards, number one. And that's the right way to do it. If you like to be wealthy. Number two, I'm actually looking at every single one of my deals and creating a spreadsheet or every opportunity and then putting that in, but I'm doing it with multiple rates. So I'm calling all of the different banks and talking to them about, hey, I'm looking at 2s, I'm looking at 3s, I'm looking at 4s. These are the types of assets that I'm looking at. What can I get for debt pricing? And then they'll tell you, yeah, we can get you to 5.95, but you can buy it down to 5.25 or 5.5. And you can do that for a couple of points. All of these other different things. I don't know that I would pay it down necessarily to 5.25, because I personally think that we're going to have lower rates eventually, not soon, but I think we'll have them eventually. But then you get to enact your strategy. But the idea is you rent box backwards. So you're like, okay, this is what I can pay, basically my nut, and make the amount of profit that I want to make. But then I'm going the next step and saying, okay, where at that price, at the price that it's on the market for, where is my rate? Where does my rate need to be? Because it's not only price, it's rate, but then it's also rents. So it's rents, rates, and price, RRP, rent, rate, and price. So if we're looking at rent, rate, and price, I got my rent box already done. That's what I live by. I've got my rates that I'm talking to my banks on, and I've got the price, which I see is being posted. What's really interesting is everybody that thinks market's crashing, 4-unit in one of the towns I do business in just broke a record. The rents have been breaking records almost every year for the last 5 years. Will rents go down? Yeah, probably. They probably will go down, but they're not going down fast. And people are locking into 1-year leases. And it's not like there's a bunch more inventory coming. There just flat out isn't more inventory coming. So as you're assessing this, you really need to best understand rates, rents, and price. Rates, rents, price. And then, it's still no $1 million. In fact, Farinelli, you look and there's more triplexes in Manchester for under 750 than there are for over 750. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the powerful property solutions with Jennifer Stewart. I mean, I don't know that you can say it any better than that. And give Jen a shot. I know that she does financing. I don't know. Jen, do you do resi financing too? I know you do commercial, but do you do resi too? I think you do. I just want to make sure I'm accurate before I send people your way. Jen's fantastic. Jen's also the owner of a VA company. The VA company that she owns. I know you're absolutely owing me $1. But okay, so you do resi too. So Jen runs a VA company that actually she trained these individuals with her 15,000 hours of wholesaling experience. She trained these people, rebuttal, here's how you talk on the phone. And she's found she's a genius with how she set up her business. So if you're looking to create more opportunities for yourself, I used her myself to create more opportunities. She was absolutely fantastic. Her team was amazing, very high touch, making sure I'm getting what I needed, which was amazing. So fantastic experience. There's that piece. And then the second piece to it is she's also a lender. So on a commercial side, on a resi side, it's at least having a conversation. And great question, old REI guy. Frank, great question. Yep. Talking about how low rates are, or what your minimum loan amount is, because some places won't go below 99,000. Some places is 75. Some places are 60 or 65, but a lot of times they really want to, kind of goose it because, doing a lot of small transactions can be really, really hard. But that being said, back to rates, $50K, like that's the lowest number in the market. I've never seen one for less than $50,000 or less. It's been 60. It's been 60 or 65. So the fact that she can get a deal done at 50 is phenomenal. And a 600 credit score, like how are you investing in property without a 600 credit score? Like phenomenal. But again, that's Jen. She's fantastic. I trust her implicitly. She was amazing to work with. She helped me grow my business. And that I bring people to you guys that help me grow my business. But as we look at rates and what that market continues to be, now you've got, $50K down. Would it be a little bit more pricey than a $250K loan? Yeah, of course it has to be. The bank's got to make money somehow. But lots and lots of options. So you need to be shopping. If you're serious about buying your next property in the next 60 days, you need to be talking and shopping with different banks. You've got to be doing it. Dion has a great approach. I call it the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am approach. And that is, if you're available that night, yes, you're welcome. I just need to make sure that you're eager to earn my business and you're going to give me the lowest rate. Love that approach. It's a great approach. I've done much the same thing, but having a relationship with banks. How ironic. But I've done a lot having a relationship with banks, and I let the three know that I'm still talking to other banks. I don't put myself in a position. However, there are some times when you need to just make the quick phone call and I can get an approval letter in a couple of hours. Sometimes that's really important. The other thing too is that sometimes I don't have the time to go through, an update with them, maybe a taxes or, a new rent rolls and all these other things that they might require right then. So the challenge then becomes that's going to take a lot of time. So I might go a different direction. But again, creating those relationships, multiple small banks, 2 billion assets under management is where I like to focus. 2 billion assets under management or under. And those are people that you very often can get in touch with somebody called the senior lender. Everybody thinks the president of the bank is the person who matters. It's not. It's not. It's just not. The person in the bank that matters the most to us is the senior lender, because the senior lender is the one who sets their rate. He's the one who's talking to the president and giving them his forecast and saying, based on what our borrowing rate is, this is what we can afford to do. And he's working with the CFO and they're having those conversations. So very often it has nothing to do with the president. Very often it has to do with the senior lender and the CFO. Very, very often. Now, the president obviously has some impact and input, but he's very often listening. And I say he because the 3 banks that I work with, all of those presidents are dudes. But as you're having that conversation with those guys, the conversation needs to be, where are we at? What can the rate be? And you can shop them. You can absolutely push them. I said to one of my banks, I said, how do you say you don't want my business without saying you don't want my business? She goes, what? I go, you just gave me a 7.7 quote. Like, you're like 2 points less than hard money. You're like 2 points less than hard money. And I can get other deals for in the 6s. I know I'm actually doing a deal with Convoy Mortgage right now that's in the 6s. And that in particular one is actually a cash out refi. So I'm super excited to be doing that deal. I mean, that deal is stinking rocking. But again, and that's a massive cash out deal. That is a massive cash out deal. So I'm super pumped to be able to do a massive cash out deal for obvious reasons. I want to pull cash out of these assets. I don't want to hold 2 or 3 deals. Cause here's my reasoning. If I hold 2 or 3 deals for the market to get tough, and then I get in trouble and I need to sell those assets, I'm going to have to sell them at a significant reduction, right? Agreed. So I would have to sell them at a significant reduction. I don't want to sell stuff at a significant reduction. I don't want to fire sale anything, because when the market's going down and collapsing like that, very often you're either finding a cash buyer. Sorry, I just got to mute this. Very often you're either finding a cash buyer who knows that they're one of the few players in the market, or you're finding somebody that has bank financing and they're going to throttle you because they're, again, fewest people in, smallest game in town. I'm not going to have 30 investors to sell to. I might have a couple because the money starts to dry up. So I don't like holding houses and owning no debt on them, because what ends up happening is I don't have my partner in the bank anymore. All of my rent is profit. Do I really want that? No, I don't want a bunch of profit. And lastly, and most importantly, when the market goes down or when it adjusts, I then can't get out of that asset except for a discounted price. I don't want to do that, because then I basically get hit on any asset that I'm buying. Well, I had to sell assets at the low price to buy assets at the low price. No. That's not what I do. Josh Burdick, at the end of the day, you're right, my friend. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to get debt on my asset. So I do that. I get debt on my asset. I refi out. I get a bunch of dollars sitting there. The deal that we're doing, I'm going to try and talk to Convoy and see if they actually want to do a video about it. But long story short, there's my other one. The long story short on that piece is I want to make sure that I'm still making money on the property, which I am. I want to make sure that I don't have anything more than a 70% loan to value, which I do. And I still make money on the deal. It's still cash flows. But in this particular deal, it gives me close to $300,000 sitting in an account that is not income. Yes, I actually have to pay on the mortgage, but that gives me a write-off on the mortgage, right? And the income coming in against it. That mortgage, that house in particular, that building in particular, it makes like, I think 10 or 12% money at this debt level. But there's some shenanigans with what we're doing with there's another building on the property. And so I still have use of that building basically free of charge. And we all know nothing's free. So rents, yes, I agree, Robert. But I think that that's what's going to happen. And I think that rents are absolutely coming off their highs. They definitely are. It's hard for us to tell though in the Northeast and in really cold climates like where Craig Cameron is out there in Minnesota. Tough to say there because we're still kind of wintry. We got a little bit of snow a couple of days ago. We had ice a couple of days after that, or a couple of days before that. So we're still kind of in winter phase. We're going to see how it goes. But I can tell you, we went a month or maybe 3 weeks where we didn't have a whole lot rent. And we had 2 or 3 units that were coming. Now those units they just went vacant for April 1. They just went vacant for April 1. And we have a huge weekend packed. Hold on one second. This is a funny story. You should be watching my live stream. You should be watching my live stream to get smarter. Silly man. So as you're going through your stuff, make yourself a spreadsheet. Get your rent box in order. Make sure that you're understanding, then you have the pricing, and then you're looking at the banks and working the banks. If you can pick up a point, think about that, guys. You pick up a point, and you could be talking about that deal now being double digits in returns where you couldn't do it before. This is the thing that I want you guys to be looking at. So when we talk about rates, yes, the market's upset. Yes, it's getting a case of the pukies. I love a case of the pukies. I love uncertainty. Rates like that go down. Absolutely love it. Western Wisco here. I haven't put away my snow shovel yet. I know, neither have I. Still have mine too. And salt too. Ugh. It's just like it hangs on. But at the end of this month, I expect all of our open units or units that are coming open, I expect them all to have leases. So it'll be a super busy April like it usually is. And then most of our leases, it's good because a lot of these leases were inherited tenants. I think about 60% of them were inherited tenants. So getting rid of them, we actually finally get to take some massive steps in big numbers. Yeah, in big numbers. So yeah, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge. All right, let's roll. Let's get up to questions. Let's see. And Burdick, thanks again for the super chat. Hey, there's Dion. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Every time you hit the like button, Angel gets its wings. Yeah, go out there and hit that like button, then come on back in. I'm here for the party from lovely Watsonville, California. Good to have you, old REI guy, Frank and Cynthia. Fantastic OGs. All-nighter hider. Wing those angels while I work, please. Nicely done. Jason Calasabetta, how are you, sir? Anna Kay, hey, good to see you. Welp and Dirty Chester, good to have you here. Rankin Projects, yes, teeth left like I showed. I won't go into it because I know it's still a bit messy inside there. I had many hands inside my mouth today, and man, I don't know about you, but that's a little bit anxiety inducing. They're like, are you doing well? And I'm like, literally, I can smell smoke. I'm like, I mean, I'm doing fine if like smelling smoke and knowing you're getting, drilled is cool. Hello, Robert Fairnelly. Good to see you soon. Buzz Tune, Mountain Dew and vodka makes the 8 go away. I can't do, I don't drink. Dion, you take care of enough of that for both of us. Howdy from Reno, Nevada. Good to see you deconstructing dreams. Love to see that. Can't wait for lower rates so I can pay more. $1 million triplexes in Manchester coming. Yep, we talked about that. There's Jennifer Stewart. Guys, reach out to her. She is on Facebook. Just look her up. Jen, if you want to put your Facebook down below, definitely do that. You guys should absolutely be following her because she lives in the VA wholesaling world and she also lives in the lending world. Definitely worth a follow. Let's see. Yep. So Jen does single families, 50K minimum, 600 credit score. Wayne Wong is in the house. Had a work call catching up at 2X. That's okay. Hyder, I don't mind. There is Powerful Property Solutions right there. You can check her out. Powerful Property Solutions. That is Jen Stewart. And then we've got the Grumpy Contractor. Hello, sir. Good to see you, Jim. Good to see you. Big Hill, best Thursday night show. Oh, Big Hill, you flatter me. I appreciate it, but I can't say as though you're wrong. Wayne Smith, Western Wisco, still haven't put the shovel away. I get it. Build to Rent, investing and financial talk here in Texas. We went dead in February. Yep, we saw that too. In the last 2 weeks, it has blown up. We have rented 9 properties and have applications on 2 more just today. Yeah, Build to Rent, it's gone nuts. It's gotten absolutely nuts. Is that Brandon? Brandon, I think that's you. Or Brannon, sorry. But yeah, it's going absolutely nuts. It's just, it's stacking. We saw we saw literally for 3 weeks, we saw a lot of showings or a decent amount of showings, but no real movement. And now we're seeing a ton of movement. Like I think in the last 3 days, I think 3 out of the 6 units that we have or have coming, 3 out of 6 have rented. And the next 3, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about them that they're going to rent this weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see. Spring is here in Spokane. Well, that's awesome. That's a beautiful thing. Chris Culp, hi all. Been heads down on tariffs. I know the tariff noise, man. Crazy. Wayne Smith. Yeah, just had a feeling. I just don't like the dentist. I'm with you. Did not enjoy any bit of it. It was root canal, crown, and deep cleaning because we couldn't go between Eliana being sick, then the company being sold, then new insurance, and then the blockout period. Unbelievable. So we've got some catch up to do. Not the yummy kind with sugar in it. But yeah, my face hurts. It's good to have it hurting me as much as it usually hurts you guys. Josh Burdick, I'm hoping rates come down just in time for an upcoming potential purchase. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Just now, be doing all the conversations now, having all the relationships now, having all the check-ins now. Hey, what do you need from me? If I called you, here's the question you need to be asking them. If I called you tomorrow with a deal on a X, or X, dupe, try, or quad, or whatever your buy box is. If I call you with that deal, what do you need from me? And they'll say 2 years of tax returns. They'll say a couple months of your W-2 if you have that. It might be your leases. I don't get that question about my leases. That's one of the real big perks about working with a bank. They don't give a rip about my leases. They're not checking my leases. They literally just take a rent roll from me, and that's all. Here's what my current rents are. That's it. It's just a spreadsheet. And I maintain that spreadsheet on the regular. So that's the thing that's happening. Yes, that is Brandon. Oh, good. Thanks for stopping by, Brandon. I'm excited to be on Brandon's show. Guys, check it out. Build to Rent Investing and Financial Talk. That is he is in Texas. So I'm excited to be on that, on his show in the next few weeks. There's some other shows that I've been invited to be on, and so I'm going to do some of those. Just been wrapped around the axle, getting taxes done, 3 annual meetings with my 3 banks, just so I don't have to have ongoing meetings with these guys. So really exciting stuff, actually. Lots doing. HOA Prez. Silicon Valley is noticing more and more people either remaining with their parents or moving back to their parents. Yeah, I'm telling you, HOA Prez, I know that we disagree on this, but I'm telling you, Silicon Valley house pricing is going to go down. It's going for a tumble. It's just going to go for a tumble. There's far too many people and there's far too many companies that are moving out of Silicon Valley. You're not going to be getting $12,000 a month for a 4-bedroom ranch anymore. And I've seen that because I worked in high tech for 27 years. So we would see guys that worked with the startups, and they would get a house out there and they'd shack up and get one of them in each room. And those were the really small startups where they're just like, hey, we're going at it 100 miles an hour. So it should be interesting. When marketing my Keen place, should I start aggressive on rents because it won't be 100% ready until May 15th? I think that there's nothing wrong with being aggressive before a unit's done. Because if you miss that window for student housing, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So I think it's more important to have it filled for less this year. And then after they're there next year, then you can talk about it. But I'd be doing that rent box, working it backwards. And I would be, $100 a month less than the next guy in the market. The funny thing is, or maybe even if you can do more, but you're in that rental market for students, which is a very small pocket, late to the market. HOA Prez, the tech layoffs are manifesting themselves in Silicon Valley. Absolutely. Housing prices haven't dropped, but rents are starting to become soft. Housing prices will drop. There's going to be a lot more inventory for sale in San Francisco because there's going to be a lot of executives moving, or there's going to be a number of massive cuts, with banks, with high tech, with all of that stuff. It's going to be, I don't believe that there's going to be this massive crash, but I believe that there's going to be a meltdown in some of these areas that have notoriously been outrageously high, that the fundamentals just don't support it. Give me just 1 second here. I want to make sure. Okay, good. Good, good, good. And you guys will see a new, I've got, I'm going to announce that now. No, I don't think I'm going to announce that now. No, I'm not going to announce it now. Nope, later. It's not quite ready yet, but it will be soon. Some exciting news that I will bring to you guys. It'll be impressive. No Bean just started checking around for HELOCs on investment properties. Surprised a lot of credit unions don't offer this. That's a risk product. No, I don't think any credit union in the country, maybe a couple. Credit unions, that's not their purpose. Credit unions are not there for investors. Credit unions are there for owners. They're there for homeowners and they're there for owners of cars. Very often credit unions are .orgs. They do not have a balance sheet where they have to show profit. What they have to do is they have to show that the bank makes money, but that it basically reinvests. And the way that one of the ways it reinvests is with lower rates. That's why many people's car loans are through credit unions. It's the exact opposite with houses. Credit unions will lend on a house, but they want your typical, they want your Mountain Dew. They want your typical home buyer, 3-bed, 1-bath. That's where they specialize. Risk, that is a huge risk product, is a HELOC on an asset that you don't live in. That's a huge risk product, completely out of their profile. So what you're really looking for is you're looking for those small local banks that are in the community, of the community, for the community, but also going for profit, because they will charge you a pretty high rate. I can tell you what the rate's going to be. You guys can start guessing below what you think the rate is. I can tell you what the rate is. I know, because I went shopping for one just for the hell of it. I wanted to see what the pricing was. The pricing was what it was. Joshua Melby, what thermostats do you recommend when replacing for HVAC? I recommend the super cheap ones. I think they're like $12 on Amazon. Just the regular old on, off, and up and down on arrows. That's it. That way it's an easy reset. It's an easy 3 battery change. That's what I recommend. Nothing programmable. None of that silly, complicated stuff, because people are dumb. They don't know how to program them, and then they constantly complain or are fighting with it. So I only put in the really super simple, cheap digital ones. And you can also do something called a pinout on those, where your max, if you're paying for the heat, where your max temperature is 70. That's my preference. Yep. Let's see. The Grumpy Contractor. On my way to Fresno to support Zuber and Jason Pritchard at Deal Champs and hopefully learn. Yeah, I hope you learn something out there too. Can't imagine that you won't learn something. Can't imagine. I'm very interested. And again, this isn't a negative thing. I'm very interested to know what Jason's business looks like today. I think he's an honest guy. I think he'd be honest, but I'm very interested to know what his business looks like. Because he does a lot of volume. Hold on 1 second. It's my agent. She's like, yeah, they just want to get a feel for the space. I'm not taking a hair salon. Hair salons need a ton of plumbing, a ton of sinks and stations. Nope, not interested. Not doing that time and materials or T&M, time and materials or expenses. No, not doing it. Not the kind of person I want. HOA Prez. It doesn't make sense that someone would pay $2.5 million for 1,000 square foot, but that's what's happening today. Tomorrow, that may not be the case. Rents are soft. But those numbers are going to continue to go down. I'm just telling you, they're going to go down. They're absolutely getting softer. There's absolutely stuff that's sitting on market for plenty long of time that people can't get out of, and tech is going to be one of the biggest hit, as they almost always are. And it's going to get obliterated. It's going to get obliterated. You will see a down market in San Francisco over the next 24 months for sure. There's just no doubt in my mind. And again, it's a shit market. Honestly, it's a garbage market. You could not pay me to own in that absolutely Gomorrah city. That's a hard pass, because all the rules and laws about all the silliness and all the everybody's that's protected. Not interested at all. In fact, my duplexes, my $600,000 duplexes, make more money than a $2.5 million house in San Francisco. That should tell you something. Is that a market that you want to be in? No, I want return on my capital. She Invests had a move in a couple days ago. Now all my available units are occupied. Congratulations. 2 more units to rehab. I have to have an inspection of my fire escape, and both code enforcement and city fire chief are coming out to do it. Kind of nervous about the fire chief. Fire chiefs can be dicks. It's true. It's true. What you need to do is you need to look and see, either in the local community or in the local chat groups, what other people have done for fire escapes. Is the ladder acceptable? Is it building a burn platform outside, which basically means like a mini deck, but it's only the size of a person? Those where we are, they cost about $1,200. They cost about $1,200. So when the city says, hey, we need to do this, here's what's really funny is I've pit the fire department against the historical group. And I was like, you guys just need to make up your mind. Historical says it can't go up because it ruins the exterior of the house. You say it has to go up for safety. You guys fight it out and let me know which one wins. Because in many cases, what you can do is you can get a multi-story ladder, and that is actually allowed, a multi-story ladder. So that's what we did. We actually put them in the units, and it literally, you attach it on and you roll it out the window and you can climb right down. But good luck on your, but definitely be there. Yep, definitely be there. Jen's contact info. Jen, if you're still here, where are you, Jen? Jen. Chris, look up and you'll see that Hyder put in her channel. So just check it out there. You can also look up Jennifer Stewart right on Facebook. You'll find her. Steward. I like the Three Amigo talk today about DSCR versus conventional. I'll have call Convoy. Yeah, guys, I was super thrilled with the experience that I had with Jonathan. You guys know me. I'm a tough critic. If somebody's awesome, I tell you. If somebody sucks, I tell you. He was fantastic. Great turnaround. Definitely laid it out for me. Called me back and said, hey, this is what we're getting for offers from the banks that we use or the funds that we use. And it was right in alignment with what we had kind of talked about. So I was happy and it worked. So yeah, as rates are doing what they're doing, they're going to get repricing pretty often. But that's where you have to have that conversation beforehand and make sure what am I looking at? Is there a buy down opportunity? What are the terms of these deals that you're putting out there? You absolutely should be doing that. Absolutely should be doing that. Chris Culp, thanks so much for the super chat too, my friend. HOA price. I can see condos dropping, but single family homes probably won't, especially those without HOAs. It is almost impossible to build a new single family in Silicon Valley because of California laws. That I agree with. I think houses without HOAs, I totally agree with you. But I think that the ones with HOAs, those are going to continue to go up. Those HOAs continue to absolutely soar, right? And condos are the first thing down. They're the last thing up. That's the way it rolls. That's what condos are almost everywhere in the country. If you're building brand new, like Brandon does in Texas, there's options there, but not in most areas. Like it's tough to build. I was talking about it with a developer and I'm a quasi developer. I'm not like a real developer. I've developed properties, I've rehabbed properties, but as far as ground up and putting in a massive development, not done that yet. But in having that conversation, he's like, when we do a big, huge tract of land and when we put in a ton of houses, we're putting in 18, 20, 12, 25. We're putting in a few. He goes, when you get tracts in other parts in the country, like Arizona or Idaho or wherever, there is so much land there that they're putting in tracts of 500 to 1,000 homes. 500 to 1,000. And then it's a multi-year build out. We don't have that here. Oh, Rob, I buy lots of things. Right now I'm buying. So I close on a house next week, duplex. I'll share with you guys the deal as soon as it closes. I'll walk you through all of the numbers. I'm hoping we're going to be able to do that next Thursday. But walk you through how I found the deal, everything about the deal. I'll walk you through everything. And so you guys will see exactly a deal because it's so sad. There's no deals. Yes, there are. Yep. You're just not looking in the right places or you're not doing the right stuff to get them. It's fact. I Every single time somebody tells me that there aren't any deals out there are deals. And it's just how you skin the cat. I thought I had a phenomenal deal in place. It was going to be a seller financing deal. And the guy was just like, I just don't want to do seller financing. He didn't really need to do seller financing, but he's letting that property go. And that property was not anything special. It didn't break a record, but for the quality of product based on the income that it broke a record. Because it wasn't that nice of a building. Let's see. Big Hill. Within a mile of my house, there's been 10 houses put up for sale in the past 2 to 3 weeks. A few are kids selling parents' homes. That makes sense. Yep. I don't think the silver tsunami is going to be the silver tsunami that they've been talking about for the last 15 years. I still think they're wrong. There are certainly going to be houses that come into the market for sure, but that's always happened. I think there's a lot more where the kids will stay in that house because they can't afford a house. They'll move into that house. They might sell that house, but a lot of those can be in areas like, my wife's grandparents, they sold their house. It sold because the market's so horrible. It sold, I believe it went under contract the first weekend. It had 3 offers and it went 25,000 over ask, all cash. And their house needed a bunch of updates. Like their house was stuck in like 1994, if you're lucky. So I think that will happen. HOA price. How many homes are being bought by institutional investors for all cash? Maybe mortgage rates are not that much of a factor anymore. No, they're still absolutely a factor. There are not that many institutional buyers. If you look at most of the funds, they're not buying homes. What they're doing is buying each other up and they're getting better valuations. And that's a much cheaper way to buy those types of assets. The whole buying for cash thing is a complete and total fallacy. Do you know how many properties I buy for cash? Almost all of them. Do you know how many of them I lever in debt within 60 or 90 days after I bought them? Almost all of them. It's a game. It's a game. There are not a bunch of people. There are investors out there that raise the money in a fund. They buy it for cash, and then they're going to put bank debt on it as soon as the project's done, as soon as something is updated. So this buying for cash thing is a complete and total fallacy. It just is. There's not a bunch of people out there with stacks of cash burning holes in their pocket just waiting to buy the next property. There aren't. There just flat out aren't. Not happening. Zub has a bunch of cash. How many houses has he bought? Dion has a bunch of cash. How many has he bought? He keeps on saving. I buy a lot of mine for cash and I lever them with debt within 60 or 90 days. That's how the papers look like it's all these cash buyers. It's not all these cash buyers. It just flat out isn't. Julie Anderson takes some ibuprofen. I can't take ibuprofen. I take Tylenol. Ibuprofen absolutely throws me for a loop. Really big hill. I'll be back up there tomorrow off Caesar Drive. Very cool. Robert Farinelli, the rent box I have using is room rentals, which I see a lot more. I am seeing 700 to 1,000. The thousands per room are mostly furnished and include everything. Yeah, I don't know what Manchester thinks about those, but that's my only concern ever with renting by the room. Is that if you, and again, kind of what your timing is around renting by the room. Give me 1 second. Nice. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. Rob, quote of the day. People are dumb. People are dumb. I deal with people all the time. Idiots. Absolute imbeciles. And I'm sorry, that's not nice, but they're imbeciles. I deal with a lot of people that are complete imbeciles. I dealt with somebody that we literally let them know 3 times that there's going to be a showing and no response. So guess what I did? I took all of the messages and I sent them to their caseworker at Section 8 and CC'd them, CC'd her husband. And I said, hey, again, notifying you for the 4th time that there's a showing tomorrow at 6:15. Like, honest to God. Like, come on. Like, don't be an idiot. And they weren't responding, blah, 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 blah. It's just like ridiculous. Give me 1 second. I need to current rent for I want to see what the rent is here because we have an offer and they're willing to sign a 2-year lease. And it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit off the existing rent. So that's why I just have to double check. Crimson. So what are you saying? What you're saying is I should go for easy rent 2,100, which is basically market. I am definitely a much better place than the $700 room rentals. Yeah. I mean, you can try that. And if you don't see a significant amount of traffic, I think 1995 where you get under the $2,000 or even $2,000 or I mean, right there at that number, I think that you get a ton of traffic. And here's what you can do. I've done this before. Hey guys, we just have a ton of interest, a lot more than we expected. We're trying to make a decision, but we have a number of interested parties. We would just ask you for two things. One is think about the term. Could you go maybe 2 years instead of going 1 year? Number one. And number two is you could also think about price. If you're able to pay a little bit more per month than somebody else, obviously that puts you in the lead because frankly speaking, we have, 4, 5, 6, don't lie. I make sure that I have that number of people. But if I have 4, 5, 6 people, I have that conversation with them. Absolutely. And it works. It works. And it's not a lie. I tell them, yeah, I've got 5 or 6 interested parties. The ones that return things back the fastest and actually have the, some flexibility. That's what we're going to work with. I note that HOA Prez, I note that a number of rental applications are dropping slightly, but the quality is definitely dropping a lot. HOA, you're exactly right. The only people that are moving are people that suck and need to move. They're either getting evicted or they're living in a demilitarized zone. Like those are the people that are moving, which is super undesirable tenants. We had 3 units up and we got probably 96% of the tenants that we had apply were complete garbage. 3 weeks later, probably 75% of them are complete garbage. But 25% I can work with. That's a big number. With the amount of people that we push through, we're in pretty good shape. Let's see. Crimson Knight, in Keene, using room rentals there was much more data to use versus 3-bedroom listings. I'm sure the only thing that I don't like about that is that then you're with all of the others in the bucket. And I like to be outside the bucket. I like to be non-conforming and look for people that are smart enough to find that value. And you'll typically end up with better tenants. Big Hill, far side of town, honk when you drive by. Airmail, love it. JW, you wouldn't rent to a salon? Nope. Or a barbershop either? Nope. Why? JW, put the answer down below and I'll confirm. Maria, leftists ruin everything? I don't know if they ruin everything. They ruin a lot of things. I don't think they ruin everything. Some ideas they have are good. And some just prove that they have no clue how to do math. So I don't think they ruin everything. Julie Anderson, I thought commercial renters had to take care of all of their own modifications. Depends on the lease. It depends on the asset. It depends on a lot of stuff. A lot of times when you get a new renter, they're looking for what's called time and materials, or they're looking for T&E. They're looking for that. So a lot of times when you rent out to a new tenant and they want to sign a 5-year lease, they're like, hey, listen, here's what, I need 50,000 for the space and I'm going to put another 50,000 in myself. Yeah, that's fine. But, 90% of businesses go out of business because, Bob the baker is a really good baker, but he's a bullshit businessman. Say that really fast 3 times. But that's what happens. And so everybody thinks that because they can bake bread and that it's bombastically amazing, that they all of a sudden know how to run a bread baking business. Doesn't mean anything of the sort. It could be completely different. HOA Prez, if you insist on positive cash flow, then you don't invest in Silicon Valley. True story. But you are looking for appreciation. And if you were to say more likely than not, next year Silicon Valley houses are down or up, I vote down. Next 2 years, down. I vote that area is going to become decimated because it's not going to be like the tech bubble, but it's going to be pretty damn close because a lot of the AI that they're creating and a lot of the AI models that are being built, I'm an AI guy and RPA guy. I did it for 17 years. It's not going to make the guy with the hammer obsolete. It's going to make the coder in the office less powerful. It's going to give him less zhuzh. Just saying. You watch. All-nighter. I know where that is. Will do. I'll yell too. Cool. Jennifer Stewart right there. Jennifer Stewart, where do you want to send people? Just pop it in the chat, Jennifer. I'm perfectly fine with 2100. That's what I was expecting originally. Yeah, if you get 21, like I said, I don't think it's the worst thing with it not being done and putting it out there for 1995. The 105 isn't going to hurt you, and it makes sure that you get students for when you need them. I just don't want to miss that pocket in the season, because if you miss that pocket, you're going to be hard pressed to get the 2100 from anything other than students. There's Jennifer. Thanks, guys. See, some of the best mods in the business right there. That's why you got the wrenches, boys. So Hyder, thanks for posting. Wealth Building Journey, thanks for posting. No Bean, thanks. Gives me a better direction to look for the HELOC. Yeah, didn't realize credit unions were different than local banks. Yeah, completely different. Banks are for profit. Credit unions are not. Credit unions look at their website address. It's usually a .org, and banks are not ever .orgs. They're .coms. So they're there to make money, and the other one's a non-for-profit. And they also have different FDIC rules. So banks have FDIC. Credit unions don't. They have their own version of it, but they don't have FDIC. They have their own credit union fund. It's pretty amazing. And there's a lot of credit unions out there with a ton of cash, like just sitting there on the balance sheet, because it's not profit. They're just literally sitting on it for reinvestment. Josh Burdick, speaking of tech leaving, I read Microsoft is talking about leaving Washington. Seattle is running a massive deficit. Good job, idiots. Good job, idiots. I mean, this is just one of those things, like, where Microsoft is going to pay their fair share. Microsoft does their fair share by employing people that make millions and millions of dollars a year and buy multi-bajillion dollar homes. Look at the areas around Microsoft and you tell me what's wrong with that picture. Like, nothing houses are millions of dollars. So, okay, literally, I'm waiting to see which city collapses on itself first. Is it going to be Chicago? Is it going to be Seattle? Is it going to be San Francisco? Is it going to be, I don't think LA, even though LA could be in the running. Or is it going to be Detroit? And many would argue that Detroit's already collapsed on itself multiple times. Let's see. I wish Redion was finished so I could see what he gets for his 3-bedroom. Yeah, I know. I think we all want that. He's doing some cabinets now. We're actually pricing out cabinets for his duplexes now. HOA. SCOTUS needs to take a real estate case at some point, as California is pretty much destroying individual property rights. HOA price, completely agree with you on that. Completely. That's what's such a silly statement, that Gavin Newsom would have a prayer in a national election. Like, people have no idea how much that dude's damaged their state. Like, they just have no clue. Financial Firefighter, what's up? Mark Gashiro, good to see you, pal. HOA price, the U.S. might end up like Europe at some point, being that you inherit your parents' house or you don't own a house. I don't see us ever getting there, because I see them writing a lot of the issues. The other issue, too, is I've worked with French companies. And French companies and the French, largely speaking, have a completely warped idea of what wealth is. They don't understand it. They basically, I worked with a company. The company sold out. Everybody got their big, huge checks. Number one, they were taxed at like 70%. But because the company sold so well, that all of those guys became millionaires. Not massive millionaires, but millionaires. 1, 2s, 3s. And what was interesting was, I asked them, I said, so when do you retire? He goes, I can't retire. I said, what do you mean you can't retire? He goes, I can't retire. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, I have to pay taxes on my wealth every year. I was like, shut up. He's like, no, I'm serious. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, I literally, he pays money on his money every year. So I agree with you, HOA Prez, that's why it's so screwed up around Europe. But when people are like, oh, but look at all the incoming immigrants in Europe. Listen, give me a break. They're from war-torn zones, and usually they don't let them in. They turn them right back around and go, bye. You can't come back now. That's largely their policy overseas, and that's a fact. So it's complete delusion. And you know what? The equivalent, when I was going to hire a tech lead, I'll give you an example. When I was going to hire a tech lead for a French company, I needed to pay that tech lead. In the States, that tech lead makes about $175,000 a year. Not joking. 175. maybe close to 200. That's what that tech lead makes. Think of it this way. Do you know what they basically did when I submitted that rec? They pushed it back and said, you cannot hire this person in the States. You have to hire them in Canada. I was like, okay. All right. Why? Do you know why? That person makes $65,000 in Canada. Guys, they are broke above the border. They are broke above the border. There are not a bunch of wealthy people in Canada. They are broke above the border. If you're talking about a job that makes almost 200K here in the States, and the most that that job pays in Canada is 65 or 69,000 bucks, they're broke. They're broke. And you know what's really crazy? Their debt, you know what their tax load is? It's just under 70%. 70%. Yeah. Yeah. So all those people that think that, Canada's awesome, guys, I worked for a Canadian company. It is not awesome. The Canadian people, a number of them, pretty cool people. Some of them make the wokers here look conservative. Like they're complete balloon knots. But that's okay. They're never, ever going to retire. They're not going to retire well. They're not going to retire well. AZ Joe, thank you for teaching others the lessons you learned from your hard lessons. My pleasure, Joe. That's why we're here. I didn't do it perfectly. I made plenty of mistakes, almost went bankrupt a number of times, but boy, did I figure it out. Hedge funds own 3% of single family homes, and the ones they are acquiring are build to rent, so not impacting prices much. I concur, Dion. Well said. Troy Roberts. Hey, Matt, it was awesome to have you running Christian's mentorship Zoom last week. Christian speaks so highly of you, just FYI. Thanks very much. Yeah, I love working with Christian. Honestly, he's got a phenomenal approach. It's, for me, I want it to be, I think I'm to Christian what Dion is to me as far as laziness goes. I think what he does and how he puts together those deals is absolutely phenomenal. But I want my rent taken care of. I want my rent paid for me. I want my mortgage paid for me. I don't want to have to think about that. And I want to then go, holy cow, all I had to do was move, 9 times in 13 years. And, now those assets are worth $4.5 million, $5 million. And all I had to do was move. That's it. I had to do some work here and there. Sure. Yeah, of course. Yep. I defined deals. Yep. Sure. But I did it. Guys, think of it this way. This is one thing that everybody misses. 13 years. 13 years. 9 deals. 9 deals in 13 years. Look at the pace. 13 years. Now, we fast forward 10 years later. And yeah, a lot of those assets are worth, more than, they're worth more than $5 million. They're worth more than $5 million. And on top of that, they make a ton of cash flow, and I got to live for usually less than $500 a month. Those deals are still available today. And I was making plenty of money in my job. I was making 6 figures in my job, but I still did that because that was the fastest way to get there. But Troy, thanks very much for saying, I really like Christian. I think he's a phenomenal investor. He does it differently than I do, just like Dion does it differently than I do, and just like Zoob does it differently than I do. And they're all successful. And that's what I think is cool. Ike Hobbs, hey, from Kansas, watching while finally getting my taxes figured out. Ike Hobbs, I empathize, my man. I had over 13,000 pages of documents that went into our tax return, and I don't know how big our tax return is yet. I'm waiting for the package back, but holy cow, it's going to be big. I think it might be more than 250 pages. Last year was our record. It was 242 pages. We'll see how big it is this year. Let's see. Ramirez Real Estate Team. Hello, Matt. Thanks for the support to the real estate industry. Oh man, my pleasure. I hate most brokers. I hate most real estate agents, but the ones that are out there hustling, the ones that try and learn their craft better, the ones that are out there earning listings, and the ones that are out there, doing the open houses, but learn and get knowledgeable about their market and about the assets. Man, I love agents like that. There's just too many piker losers out there that just suck and aren't worth their weight in any conversation about real estate. Key, good to see you, my friend. Matt, which part of Vegas would you likely buy for your second home? Yeah, and if so, why? I'm looking at Summerlin according to Brian Lebo. Absolutely. I think that Lebo is picking on my poor Bob. What poor Bob? Lebo is Summerlin everything. I think he owns 7 buildings or seven houses, all single family, all in Summerlin. Henderson's nice. I do like Henderson. I like Summerlin more, but I really like more than Summerlin is Summerlin adjacent. I would be drawing a circle around Summerlin where you can still be a few blocks away, not have the Summerlin address, but it depends on what you want to do with your kids. The Summerlin schools, phenomenal, but there's plenty of private schools out there too. Summerlin taxes are very expensive. The Summerlin little square blocks, that have neighborhoods in them, love that. But I also like Red Rock. I like Red Rock. So Red Rock, Henderson, and Summerlin, those are my 3 areas, but more likely Summerlin adjacent. So I don't have the Summerlin zip code, but I do or the Summerlin address, but I do end up with all of the benefits of Summerlin minus the schools. I end up with all the benefits of Summerlin, which is, that's where the Golden Knights practice. Their practice facility is. You walk right in, you can watch the Knights practice. That was an amazing time that I got to have with my kids and my wife. We big hockey family, and so being able to do that was really awesome. But just everything. Summerlin's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. But again, from me and from my perspective, I'd rather be just outside of Summerlin and be paying 25 or 30% less and just be Summerlin adjacent. That's my take. HOA Prez, I asked one prospective tenant the reason he was moving, and he said that he needed to find another place to live as he was being evicted from his current place. Like, HOA Prez, yeah, you nailed it, my man. Like, people are stupid. People are stupid. Like, yeah, I'm being evicted from my current place. Yeah, okay. And in California, that takes forever. So that's a crazy thing. Jennifer Solutions, there you go. Yep. We support the community right here, Jen. HOA Prez, I agree with you that historical appreciation with you from 1950 to 1990 is not going to repeat itself from 2020 to 2050, which is a good case for not buying real estate in Silicon Valley. Yeah, I just think that, I think that market, that area is going to shift that much more. I think AI is going to be a big difference maker, because what person would put an AI farm in California? 0 people. You guys don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the grid. Like, you don't have the things that you need. Now, maybe those things come about because so many businesses leave, but there's a lot of businesses leaving California. Like, there still remains. And there's the individuals like, yeah, we moved to Massachusetts and we hated it. Well, you move from, hell to purgatory. Of course you hated it. They both suck. Yeah, I know. I'm not nice. But whatever. Key, another question, Matt. If dry wood termites, can I just use Boracare to spray on without changing the wood? Is it still not in bad? If it's still not in bad shape? So I'm aggressive with that type of stuff. I actually would call 3 places, not have them do the work, have them come out and render their opinion and say, hey guys, I want you to work out a plan for me. What they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to start jabbing joists. And if the joist has, an inch of the wood that's kind of eaten away, and then you just see, and everything else is dead, then we're not really talking about anything, right? But I've seen joists where you can take a screwdriver and go right through it. And that's a problem, because that's going to compress in your house. Yeah. Yep. Kind of crazy. Antonio Barajas. Sorry. Hey, Matt, question. Have you ever bought a garage converted to a 1-bed, 1-bath without a permit, and how would you insure it? I have not. I bought stuff that didn't have permitted work. I talked to the city first because I said, hey, I'm interested in this house. I'm looking for records. You got nothing, bro. And so I said, hey, so I'm not here to tell them, but it is what it is. What can I do here? And their answer was, we can come in, we can inspect it, but we're going to need your commitment. They're going to make it right if something's not right. My towns, because they know me, because I have a relationship with them and they've seen that, they're usually pretty reasonable because they know I'll do the right thing. In California, though, they actually have, they're proud of themselves when they make a landlord tear something down. Sometimes agreeably, it needs to be torn down, but there's a lot of cases where it doesn't need to be torn down. So answering your question about what I would do if I found it unpermitted, I'd be talking to the city about it first and letting them know, hey, this is unpermitted. I want to fix it and make it right, but I don't want to tear it down. Because if they're like, nope, we're going to make you tear it down, or we're going to make you go through this process, then that's something you need to go back with. That's something you need to go back with for sure. Let's see. And then insuring it, that's going to be that's a insurance company question. You have to disclose. Otherwise, they can not pay your claim if they found out that you were deceitful in any way, shape, or form. Let's see. On Rob, it's going to be Gary. Oh, wait, too late. Yeah, I mean, Gary already imploded on itself 60 years ago or 50, 60 years ago or whatever. I think they'll come back. I mean, they're coming back. It's going to be a long road to hoe, but man, there's a lot of money getting poured into Gary. So I think they'll come back. The issue is that will any manufacturer want to go back in there? Is anybody going to move back in there with jobs? Because if they don't move back in there with jobs, it doesn't really much matter. Jobs are what you need. All-nighter header. Idiot has a legal definition consisting of someone that the state presumes is not learned and will not be. That is true. And idiot is actually literally on the IQ test as well. No joke. Build to rent, finishing a 3-bed, 2-bath build in the next 2 weeks. We'll be creating a video on the finished product. Very cool. We should look forward to it. Antonio, I guess you can still insurance original house yet without any ADU content. Yeah, the only challenge there is that what if the ADU makes the house catch fire if there's a fire? Like, how's the ADU connected? Does it have its own electrical? You're just going down a path that could be nasty. Yeah, okay. See, I didn't even read all the way forward. Yep, don't pay that part of the rebuild cost. The ADU cause a fire, you swallow the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. Yep, nailed it. HOA press, for what it's worth. The expectation is that the 2028 election will be Newsom versus Vance. My liberal friends believe that Newsom will win, but I tell them they are crazy. HOA press, you're dead on. Vance will annihilate him in the debates. He will annihilate him. It's not even close. Newsom has no record that anybody can look at and think he's done a good job. He's going to get absolutely tarred and feathered. I think it's funny that they plan on trying to potentially run back Kamala. Like, what a punchline that is. What a joke. Like, that cackling buffoon. Robert Farinelli. For some reason, he is the master at getting high rents. He got $3,000 for a 5-bed in Keene. Fine, I'll list it for 2. I guess 1,200 mistake isn't the worst. Yeah, I mean, again, the idea is you don't want to miss. Key at see your super chat. Let me just roll and get to you, Key. Thank you, sir. Overdue. And I'm waiting hard to say thank you, Key. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you very much. Solos, love the lives, Lorjack. You're very welcome. I'm my pleasure to do these with you guys. I have a lot of fun with you. Let's see. Jamil Morali. I'm from Canada, live in America now. Canadian taxes are high, but not 70%, probably closer to 55. Not when you figure all in, my man. Not when you figure them all in. Not when you figure what the taxes are on the tariffs that you pay on gas, what your carbon weight is. They are absolutely 70%. And you know how I know? Because I retired from a company that was in Canada where that's what they counted on from a debt load perspective as individuals. So I can appreciate that you're from there and that you live in the US right now. But if you add up everything, if you add the taxes on food, if you add the additional taxes, you're talking federal. When you look at federal, province, city, and then you look at gas taxes, then you look at carbon taxes, and then you look at the taxes on everything, food taxes. When you look at all those taxes, it's 70. It's 70. And again, the people that I was talking to, these aren't dumb people. They were people that were high up in organizations, and they were on the finance team. Because I asked them, I said, I'd love to understand, kind of what that looks like, because I'm a big question asker. And they were like, yeah, actually, we basically work until September before we start getting paid after we finish paying all of our taxes. And Jamil, feel free to tell me where I'm wrong, but 55 is what the take is from feds. It's not all the rest of it. Everything there is overpriced and overtaxed. Everything there, and gas especially. Gas especially. You guys are like 3 times the price of us for gas. In my state to going over the border in Canada, it's like 3 times the amount. It's absurdly, outrageously expensive, or at least twice. Sorry, twice. WEJ. Definition of a person via 26 U.S. Code 7701. Redundant person, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. Nothing in there says human. Hence, no human rights. Very true. Yes. Jamil, welcome. Always. JW, there are a lot of different reasons to not lease to barbershops. I would love to hear your opinion. JW, so here's the thing. Love guys that run barbershops. Love them. I don't use them very often, but I love them. I use them at least 3 times a year, whether I need to or not. But the reason why is because the water and drainage requirement. That's what kills it. It absolutely kills it. Setting up the stations, setting up the chairs. The application is really only that. There's no other application that works where you put a barbershop or a salon. I've worked with a number of salon owners that wanted to rent my space, and the amount of T&E that they were asking for was insane. It was insane. It was $50,000, $100,000. I don't believe in them that much. I just don't. We worked with a nail salon. We actually had in nail salons, I don't know if you guys have it in your states, but in our state, you have to have so much air circulation and movement. It's called CFM. And so when you have all that air management, it's sucking it air in and then blowing it out of the building. And so it's air replacement. And a lot of times you need to replace all the air in the space like 6 times in an hour. So that means completely recouping all of the air essentially every 10 minutes. That means you have a lot of big fans going, right? So you don't get that smell like you do when you walk past all these places in malls. They all have these requirements. Well, depending on the state. So when I did that, I went and I marketed to salons, but to nail salons because the building was already previously that. And what's kind of crazy was with how much money they charge and how booked out the company was. Think of it this way. That company, the company that I had in one of my units, they had been there for 2.5 years. They were 2 months out on their appointment books, and they still couldn't keep the business going with only a couple $1,000 a month rent. Like, how unbelievably inefficient. So I believe all the numbers are there. I bet I could have gone in and fixed the business, but I don't want to be an operator of a nail salon. As you guys see, I don't really care about my nails that much. So that's why, JW, I don't want salons, is because very, very, very high. And what happens if something goes wrong? If you get a big clog there, if you have a line break, like they could be shut down for days. And that is massive financial impact to them. They're already living razor wire. Usually we've seen a lot of in our area because there's so many salons. How many people are like, yeah, it's not that hard running a salon. Yeah. I partnered up with 3 other people that will come in with me. And then it's like, oh my word, the nightmare begins with that partnership. So that's why that's the feedback that I can give you. Let's see. HOA price. The short tax form is the one that government keeps the money. The long tax form is the one where the accounting getting all the money. Good luck with tax season. Yeah. Good news is that our taxes are done. They're in the portal. They're uploaded. They're being worked through now. So I'm actually very excited that all of that is done, quite frankly. Jen Tam, don't move. People keep leaving California. Move to Vegas. We'll hang out. I can't wait. I don't know when we're going to move to Vegas. We got some developing situations here. I don't think we're going to move there per se soon, but we're definitely looking at housing. I'm just waiting for the moment. Like it's the same thing with the Lamborghini. I could write the check tomorrow for a Lamborghini, but I don't want to write the check. They're down a little bit, but they're not down a lot of it. I need, crypto when it hit whatever it was, 113 or 109 or whatever. Everyone's like, now it's going to 200. Yeah. Last time I checked, it was in the mid 80s. Now, will it correct more downwards? Maybe. Will it skyrocket back up? Maybe. Either way, it doesn't matter because you don't make any money until you sell it. And when you sell it, you're going to have to write a check for half. You're going to have to write a big, huge, fat check if you were trading it. Hey, Jen Tam. Good to see you. HOA price. If you're looking for artificial intelligence, then look at Congress. Barry Goldwater. I don't think there's any intelligence there. I think it's only artificial. Yeah, I think it's only artificial. Mass sucks. We are both refugees, Matt. I know. Mass does suck. Mass is awful. Taxachusetts. And it's the same thing. They get you there too. You have federal, then you have state, which runs up to like 7.5% or 8%. And then you have a lot of town taxes that are absolutely through the roof. You know, people think that the debt load is only the debt load of the federal government. It's not. It's all of the taxes that you pay. By the way, I looked at my new number this year for property taxes that I pay. Holy Toledo, the property taxes are out of control. Like I knew generally where they were, but in the last few years, it's hiked so aggressively. We're well into the we're well over 300 grand a year we pay in property taxes. It's a lot. It's a lot. Let's see. Matt, Lars, hey. Matt, I will message you the details, but I give my 2 weeks notice tomorrow morning. Fortunately, the market today didn't screw me over. Lars, congratulations, man. I'm very interested to hear what's going on. Yeah, shoot me the details, my friend. Pinhead 1317. Hello from Maine. Also doing my taxes, falling behind when I have to pause because I get confused. Pinhead, I get it. I get it. Oof, Maine's tough, bro. Maine's tough. They got a lot of taxes there, my man. Somebody said to me today, they said, hey, we're planning on leaving the apartment. I said, sure. He goes, we're looking for 2 bedrooms around 14 or 1500. I said, not in New Hampshire, no chance. He goes, well, yeah, we found one in Maine. I go, okay. All right. He goes, so, you know, it's just much less expensive to live there. And I said, well, but you figured your income tax. What do you mean? We don't have income tax in New Hampshire, bro. He's like, oh, what is it in Maine? Dude, you're thinking about moving to Maine and you don't even know that they have an income tax and you don't know what it is and you don't know how it impacts you. You're an idiot. Like I said, I work with idiots every single day. So it's one thing about like being so gung-ho about it, but say the word. Like have a conversation like, hey, you know, Matt, we're planning on leaving. Any downside to moving to Maine? Like, I don't need the one of my 153 units. Like, I'm not like trying to hold on to people. Just want them to be informed. Like DM wants to buy houses. I wanted to buy houses too. I have plenty of tenants that buy houses, but then I also have ones that I continuously see the same situation over and over again. And I even get tenants back. I literally get tenants back. It's kind of crazy, you know? So here's what's really interesting. He was talking about $1,400 to $1,500 rents. Mine are $1,800. He and his wife combined income make $120,000 a year. 7.5% is the minimum that they will pay in income tax. 7.5%. Yeah. 650 bucks a month, jackasses. 650. So while you think, because you can't do math, again, usually this is a liberal problem. You think because you can't do math that you're getting a good deal. But the fact of the matter is when you move there, you are going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to pay a premium of $300 a month to live in that state where everything costs more because they tax gas differently. They tax food differently. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to pay like $500 or more because it's all hidden. And this is how these state governments do it to you. You guys going to get obliterated. He's like, well, I'm not saying that we're going to move there. I was like, dude, you can do whatever you want. It's no problem. We're losing some people with my nasty language. I'm okay with it. Key, thank you both. You're welcome. Anytime, guys. Lars, on the rental side of things, I'm under contract for a duplex in Pittsburgh, PA. We got a sewer scope and need the corporate to pay for the Astrojet to finish the scope. Guys, this is why you do scopes. This right here is why you do scopes. He could have uncovered a $7,000 to $10,000 problem just by paying $200 or $300 for a scope. When you buy a property, do a scope. Yeah, well done, my man. Well done. Rob, has Hyder checked his buy box today? I don't know. Ask him. Hyder, have you checked your buy box today? My buy box has checked me right into the boards. Well said. Flavio, good to have you, my friend. Welcome. Having to work until September break even is, I know it's crazy. Farinelli says, really have to bite my tongue at 2000 because of all the rehab I did, but history shows you are almost always right. That's true. And again, the biggest thing is that when you do the student housing, you can't miss that window. I'm telling you, it's, if you miss that window, so here's what I would run. What is that market rent if you don't get students? I bet you it's closer to like 18 and it's tougher to fill. That's what I would bet you. And likely that you're going to have kids. HOA price. My liberal friends are becoming conservative after their Teslas get destroyed. That's funny. Jerry Oaksmith, bro, what's up, pal? Yeah, here's the live. That's right. Yep. Cubic feet per meter. Yep. CFM. That's the amount of air you get pushed out what they call the fart fan. You want to be impressive? Next time you're talking to a contractor, call it a fart fan. And they'll laugh and they'll go, how do you know that term? Because I've been around contractors for a long time. Cubic feet per minute. Yes. Yeah. Meter. Yes. That's correct. Crud. I have a salon in one of my 3 commercial spaces. You can have that if it's already built. That's okay. The issue is the T&M to make a salon space. If I would buy a building with a salon in it because there's always the dreamers that want to go next into the salon. What I wouldn't do is I would not build the space out for a salon. Thank you very much for saying what you did, Chris, because I want to make sure to correct that. My ADU in a house that I bought is not permitted. Okay. I tried to legalize and submitted plans, but the city said it's in a flood zone and has to raise from 9 feet to 10 feet. Architect says ADU has to demo and rebuild. Yes. No. Look at what a building mover would charge. So there are building movers out there. Look at what a building mover would charge to lift up the house. And then you could very likely, depending on what's underneath it, is it a slab, is it a foundation, whatever, you could very likely then put it on stilts, or basically like telephone poles, or maybe massive sonotubes, but absolutely not. Doesn't mean that you just have to tear it down. Absolutely incorrect. Incorrect. We put stuff, I live close to the ocean. We see stuff get piered all the time. All the time. It's one of the requirements. If you're dealing with an X number of feet of the water, you have to put it on piers. If your building permit exceeds X number of dollars, you have to put it on piers. Yep. Jack Stewart, sorry, I've been at work. I'm just listening mostly. That's okay. We're just happy to have you here. Just happy to have you here. Are you still using rep status? Yep. We're still using it. How much did rep really help when you were employed? 6-figure returns every year. It really helped. 6-figure returns because I could have the government take the most just in case something happened with what was going on with the portfolio, so that we were able to get a lot withheld. So yeah, massive returns. And then also the depreciation on the assets. Yep. It was a massive, massive windfall for sure. HOA price. CA tried to pass a severance tax. Should you try to leave the state? Yes, I saw that. One liberal politician was honest with me, is that you can leave CA, but we want all your assets before you leave. That's exactly right. Guys, listen to what HOA Press says. I agree with most of what he says. A couple things you disagree. I think that market in San Francisco is due for a tumble. But look at all the stuff that he's saying. You want to buy in California? Oh, F no. Hell no. Robert Farinelli, LOL. Everything in Maine costs more. 5 cents each for paper bags at the grocery store. Everything in Maine costs more. 1,000% correct. Gas, groceries, services. It's insane. Yep. Wayne Wong, got to head out. Back out at my house. Good to see you, Wayne. Appreciate you coming and hanging out. Walther Rentals. Is it okay to put a stackable washer dryer inside a kitchen in an ADU? Yeah, but I wouldn't put a stackable. I put an all-in-one. All-in-ones are now, they're basically counter height. You can get them pretty much counter depth. Then it's not intrusive. And then you can also carry the butcher block across the top of it. Yeah. I'll show you some that we've got going on. It's actually, that's the way I designed it in the jail. I designed it with cabinets on each side of it and butcher block on top. So I wouldn't put stackables. I would put all-in-ones. Mm-hmm. Mad Nature, converting 3,000 square foot family triple decker to a 3-family in Framingham. All very good for you. Very good for you. Wondering if I can do top attic floor unit on ADU. A dormer? Yeah, you should be able to. You should just dormer it though. That's likely what you need. You can't add a whole nother level to the house because there's no way that the supporting structure underneath it can take another level of framing and roof and windows, and it can't. There's no way. There's no way. You're asking for trouble there. I would dormer it, but I wouldn't add another whole level on top. But that's just what I would do. And those $4 tolls in York are on exit 7. Yikes. Yeah, exactly. Massive tolls also in Maine. Jen Tam, I have a home in the mountains and the basement is surrounded by dirt. We'll have mold issues soon. No, not necessarily. Who do I call? Builder, landscaper. We'll do the retaining wall help. So here's what I would say. No, not necessarily. We have houses all around us that don't have stone around, but you can do a French drain. There's a lot of things that you can do there, but I would be surrounding by dirt is not a big deal. I would be talking to somebody about a French drain. That's what I would do. And then any gutters that you have on the house, just put them into the French drain. Just make sure you're coming away from the house at least 3 feet. And then you're not going to have any water kind of coming back and infiltrating and penetrating the basement. Jack Stewart found out this week that I have less than 2 years before being pushed out of my job. Thanks to ORAC community, Zuber, Dion, and Matt. I'm excited. Let's make it happen. Sorry to hear that. That's always tough to hear. But 2 years, my man. You got 2 years. Make hay. It's make hay time, baby. Do it to it, Jack Stewart. And then put some pumpkin pie on the plate. The Riley A-OK. Thank you for doing this. If you have a paying tenant, oh, you're very welcome, Riley. You're very welcome. It's really my pleasure. Thank you for doing these. If you have a paying tenant, how often do you like to lay eyes inside the property just when renewing? Usually that kind of takes care of itself over the course of the year. They're going to need something. If they don't need something in the course of the year, if we just haven't heard from them or anything, what we probably do is we talk to them and just say, hey, we just want to come through, do an annual, just a 5-minute walkthrough. And we get that. And very, very rarely are there any issues. If they're paying it, it's interesting how that coincides with somebody that's paying their rent. Key, Jen, air circulation, put the fan sucking out. Yes. Wealthwood Rentals. Who is usually responsible to replace a rusted electric gauge meter box? It is very costly. Use you. Yep. You, not them. Definitely not a tenant. That's a house thing. That's a maintenance thing. There's nothing that the tenant did or neglected that caused that issue. Yeah, that's on you, Wealthwood Rentals. SK, when you buy rental property and spend $50K on rehab before renting it, do you include that as capital expense or use for depreciation or expense are immediately as repair and maintenance? Well, when you do those rehabs, they all fall as different timelines on how you can depreciate them. What you have to make sure is, like I do, I have a CPA who's also an EA, an enrolled agent. Looked up what that is. But that's where I place it over to them and say, hey, listen, should we do a cost segregation study on this? Should we just, take it as it is? But you can't, there are rules in how fast you can depreciate things. So you just have to follow the rules of how quickly things can be depreciated. Because a roof can't be instantly depreciated unless you're taking bonus depreciation. A roof is, I want to say it's 20, or it might even be the full 27 years, 20, 25, 27, something like that. But that's what we push off. That's what we push off to the accountant to say, you tell us what you think is best. Repair and maintenance is truly repair and maintenance. It's not rehab. Not rehab. Two different buckets. Jen Tam, Key, is that enough? These cracks on the cement wall, if yes, that would save us a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, very often a French drain and then just getting gutters put on the house and just bringing it away from the foundation, you're good to go. Very often. That's a good name. Janier Villafane. Please tell me how badly I messed that up. Looking to invest in an area, but it went from C plus to C minus. Should I move on? It's in it's in Newark, New Jersey. Yeah. For me, C minus gets scary because in a bad economy, if it's already C minus, dude, it's going to D. It's not good. Yeah, I would just want to talk to other landlords in the area. For me, I don't want to own in a declining market unless it's going from B to C. And that way I can account for it. I can take care of it. Not a big deal. But largely speaking, if you're going from C to C minus, I mean, let's face it, we're one beer away from calling that a D plus. Like, that's scary. C's all day long. D's. So I would be looking at that market, comparing it to other markets is one of the things I would do. But the other thing that I would do too is, talk to other landlords in the area and what they're saying. Like if you see a bunch of stuff popping up in that area and they're leaving, why are they leaving? There's some reason that they're leaving. Jen Stewart, scary that they want your assets before they leave. Oh yeah, for sure. California doesn't want you to leave with any money. Chris Culp, thanks, Matt. Good clarification. I bought a unit that was a really nice salon. Took 10 months to get a new tenant. That's why. So if I've got an existing, I'm getting a discount on a building that I buy with a vacant salon. If it already has a salon in it, fine. If it doesn't have a salon in it, I don't want to make one. And yes, it can take that much time to find somebody. And again, the challenge is everybody's all vim and vigor. Everybody's super excited when they're first starting out that salon. Look at the percentage of salons that fail. It's a lot. Year-round fishing, I work for. I don't know who you work for. Massive ejection pumps. Yes. Wealth of rentals. If you move a load-bearing wall 3 feet away to enlarge the kitchen in a one-story house, what can you do to enforce the foundation below? You got to run LVLs and you have to have that weight landed all the way down to the concrete. Yeah. Yep. You need to cut it. You need to cut out the concrete in the existing floor. You need to put some, like fiberglass reinforced cement down. Then you need to, everything needs to be carried from wherever you're removing stuff. You need to have it carried all the way down to the basement, piered down to the basement. And you can do a lot of that, but you should be sistering joists and beams. And I would be adding LVLs for structural, for sure. SK, I have tenants living in an ADU. If I get building movers, is it quick to move them out temporarily? Yeah. It's not horrible. You can get a building lifted, like basically you get on somebody's schedule. They can usually lift it in a couple of days. The big thing is just being a good GM or GC and basically saying, hey, they're going to lift the building on this date. I want you guys starting within 3 days of that. And then they'll come in and then they'll do all the piering and things like that. That's something that the actual work going on could take as little as a week or two. Yeah, for sure. HOA Perez, CA liberals are like the Borg. They will come to your state and take over your state government and you'll be absorbed. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you are warned. No, it's very true. We have massholes that move to our state and thankfully we keep on kicking the crap out of them with their stupid bills that they're proposing. But we have a lot more libs in our state than we used to, and it changes things about our state. All you need to know about New Hampshire is it's got a 0.8 vacancy rate, 0.8, not even 1%. We know a little bit about running economies and not running deficits. Massachusetts doesn't know anything about any of those things. And if you ever want a real good laugh, look at the mayor of Boston. What a moron. Oh my word, is she dumb. Holy Toledo, is she a woke idiot. Like, you gotta check her out. She is unbelievably gifted in the dumb. Wealth of rentals, would it leave it as is? Not moving a wall 3 feet and not repairing. No, it would not be okay. You will definitely have a structural issue. Key, yes, and close all the vents, insulate the whole place. Otherwise, it's useless. Control the humidity. Yeah. I recommend being uncollectible, like being poor on paper to deter litigation. Yes. Robert Farinelli, I wonder if Maine still has a price floor on milk to help farmers. I don't know that. Year round, I work for multimillionaires in the Napa Valley area. None of them have their primary addresses in California. If the rich don't want it, neither does the poor guy. Yep. Looking to relocate to Carson City, Nevada, the home of the famous silver mines. Very cool. And you're exactly right. Year round fishing. Troy Roberts, you go to Europe, that's all they have is all in one washer dryer. Yep. Yeah, because the architecture is so old that they can't get it vented. Yeah. SK, I bought a property with 0 down at high rate of 11 rehab, but unfortunately the value appraised to purchase price only. Okay, refi asks me to bring 25% to bring to the table, rate down lower. Any way to refi? Ooh. I would be looking at other banks. I'd be looking at other banks. That's your only option. That's the only option. You got to get different appraisers in there. That appraiser did something screwy, or your numbers were that bad and that far off. SK, who's responsible for replacing water filter and refrigerator? Tenant keeps asking me for a filter every 3 months. Depends what your lease says. Yeah. SK, are they selling those filters on eBay? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 3 months is fast. Oh, Yainer Villafane. Oh, thank you. I got it right. Awesome. Very cool. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you here. Well, the rentals SK, they use it, so they should buy it. Yep. I would make sure that that's clear in the lease also. Yeah, that's a lease thing for sure. SK, tenant asking me to replace all old kitchen. No, F them. They're idiots. Yet asking to replace all old kitchen cabinets. No. Do you recommend to replace when they live there? No, absolutely not. And they got the place rented for them being there and what the place looks like. If you are going to redo the kitchen, then they need to pay more rent. And you can say when they ask again, and this is my answer always, I'm happy to redo the kitchen. The only challenge is, and what I've done is I've left the kitchen as is, and I've not done these different updates that you've asked for, because that keeps the unit affordable. If I do all those updates, I'm going to have to go up like $500 a month in rent. That's the conversation. And then they shut up and stop asking for it. Now they very well might leave, but then you can get the next tenant in there, probably more than what they're paying. But you can also do those rehabs at that point, put it on the market, and then actually get that $400 or $500 a month extra. That's where it's smart. SK, tenant asking me to, already did that one. It's, wealth building journey. C- goes into a solid D in recession. Exactly right. Exactly right. Speaking of money pits taxing states, Maryland has passed a slew of taxes into law, and their deficit keeps growing. Anyone else seeing the pattern with high tax and spend states that have huge deficits? Yeah, they're all governed, meaning that their local state and local legislature and their governor are usually blue. Look at the states that do it. The ones that are red, they usually have balanced budgets. Just look at it. You look at any city, you look at the 10 worst cities as far as in financial shape, the 10 worst in financial shape, you'll find that 9 out of the 10, last time I looked at this was maybe a year or so ago, 9 out of the 10 are blue governed states that have been governed by the blue for more than 40 years. I know it hurts people's feelings, but facts usually do. I get it. No joke. Car registration jumped. No, skyrocketed 89%. Yeah, exactly. What's really funny is that our town, so our state is conservatively, fiscally conservative. Our town is not. Our town is the third largest employer. One of our towns is the third largest employer in the town, which is a problem. And when they stopped raising taxes and they just clipped back the rate a little bit, they started raising water and sewer. Water and sewer in the last 3 or 4 years have doubled. So now they're going after that part of it. It's unbelievable. Mad Nature, splitting a single fam, 3,000 square feet. Okay, 2 or 3 fam, mass. Yep, I need to split heating, gas, electrical, knob and tube. You're going to have to redo the knob and tube. You're not going to be able to split anything. You're going to have to redo that. 2 new kitchens and bathrooms. Recommendations for heat, Burnham, forced hot water, electrical, lots of stuff there, Mad Nature. So honestly, that's what my course fixes. And you can ask all the people in the chat, 10 hours of coursework plus a boot camp. We can go through that stuff kind of every single week and help you make a plan. That's just going to help you there because there's so much there. There's going to be so much that you uncover as you go through the process. You're exactly the kind of position that the course is meant for. But to answer that question, there's tons of different options, but systems that we use, processes that we use as you're doing that project, there's a lot to it, but you can ask the chat and see how helpful it was when they took the course and did that stuff. So Keen Student Rentals, my biggest competition does $695 per room. So I would be 667 rooms. My upstairs, which is not been rehabbed, which is a 3-bed with bonus room at 1,900. Yeah, I mean, I want to beat the competition. I want to get it filled before they get it filled, and I don't want to play. If you can miss the season for those student renters, if you can miss it, then go in there at the high price. If you can't afford to miss it, like I said, you got to look and see what the market actually is outside that. A 2-year registration on an SUV from 215 to 406. Asked me how I know. Wealth building journey. Sorry about that, Chester. That sucks. That's horrible. Hello, Matt. Are you still doing one-on-one sessions? Joe, I am. I get requested a lot, and I love to just have people go on the course because I think the course is a better value than the one-on-one. But if you really need one-on-one, you can send me an email. I will do one-on-ones with you. Yeah, I'll do one-on-one. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. If you and I were to open a business together, what would it be? Oh, Dion, a matchmaking company. A hair salon. What else? I mean, I'm sure you can get maybe a sleep lab. Probably like a sleep lab. Property management company. Oh dear God, no. Hell no. All-nighter hider. Framing schedules on joists like 16 on center, yep, are determined in conjunction with the span the joist is crossing. Yep, increase the span and need bigger and closer joists. Yeah, so that's why you also use LVLs because you can usually get them 2x8s is a lot of times what's used. So then you can get basically an LVL that's 7.5 or 7.25 inches tall, so it's just short of where a 2x4 or a 2x8 is. But the idea is it's like 3 times more strong. So you take those, you system them together, you peer them to the basement, and you're usually safe. Dion, OnlyFans delivery services. Delivery service for sure. G Lover, what's up? Maybe blue states wouldn't be underwater if they stopped giving money to red states. Yeah, G Lover, you can show me those stats all you want, my friend. Yeah. So like California, yeah, who has a massive deficit. Yeah, I promise you that's not the issue. Blue states are run by people that have no clue how to do math. Yeah. Show me Illinois. How bankrupt have they been for decades? And the same thing with Michigan. Yeah, bankrupt. And they take a ton of federal monies. A ton. Yeah, the issue isn't the blue states keeping the red states alive. I can promise you that's not it. Yeah, show me all the blue states that have thriving economies. Yeah, it's a pretty short list, bro. Pretty short list. Wealth building journey. LA, Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore's a sewage pit. Yep. St. Louis, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Seattle, Oakland, and Minneapolis. Well, let's just do a little investigation. LA, blue or red? Yeah, blue. Chicago, blue or red? Blue. Yeah. Detroit, blue or red? Yeah, blue. Baltimore, blue or red? Yeah, blue. Yeah. St. Louis, blue or red? That one's close. Don't know. I'd have to double check it now, but I know it hasn't. Has it been a stronghold for 30 or 40 years? I don't know. Kansas City, oh yeah, toilet. Yep. Philadelphia, yeah, toilet. And not only that, but these cities are also have the some of the worst homeless problems too. Yeah. Philadelphia, yeah, toilet, gross. Yep. But suburbs, awesome. Yep. Nobody wants to live in Philadelphia. They want to live in the burbs. Seattle, yep, yep. I mean, you can always go and collect needles on the street if you want. Oakland, yeah, lots of murders there, but not as many as in Chicago and Detroit. Yeah, and Minneapolis. Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty awesome list, guys. Yeah. Just saying. Those are numbers. That's scoreboard right there. Joe Aiello, duplex, but I'm looking at a 2-family rental. Okay. Would you go for an existing 2-family or do a duplex build? I think it really, honestly, the numbers would guide me. I think that buying an existing duplex and rehabbing it, depending on what the terms are around the new construction, you very likely could be in a better spot. G Lover. I love you, buddy. G Lover. And I know it's Glover. But look at the list that Chester just popped up. Like, none of those are red strongholds. Like, it's just facts. Hey, Kyle Dorn. Good to see you, pal. Dion, Talk Finance Freedom. We don't have blue states. We have red states and a few massive blue counties that fuck it up for everybody. Well said. Yep. It's true. Just Viola. Thank you, Matt. Should I just email? Yeah, just email me. Yeah, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. You got it. Maria, Americans can't run large cities. No, I don't think that's it. No, I think if you look at large cities, there are large cities that do well. Yeah, there are large cities that do well. They're just not blue cities. Yeah, I know. Democrat run cities, real problems, no solutions. Republican run cities, real solutions, no problems. True. No, I was laughing at Dion. Yeah, exactly. And real quick, I think this is important. Wealth Building Journey says Illinois unfunded state pension obligation liability is now unserviceable. Yep. You know what's also really funny? When Chicago was in such horrible shape, do you know what they did? The morons there in Chicago sold all of the parking toll receipts to a company in Dubai. Dubai gave them about $1 billion. Do you know? And that was for, I think, 100-year term. Here's how bad the Chicagoans are at math. They've already made more than what they gave them in 08. They have already made more. Bad news, Chicagoans. You've got another 83 years of not getting paid tolls or parking fees. That's moronic. It was a 100-year contract. Yeah, 100 years. Yep, that's 100 years. So all I'm saying is, like, I don't see any red cities that were selling, that needed to sell their future revenues. So what happens? Chicago has to keep on selling things to keep afloat, and they're selling revenue producing items. So what does that do? That means that they have to raise taxes on existing things. Like, it's just dumb. It's just bad math. Like, my son at 7 can tell you, Dad, if they're going to give me $1 billion, how many years of receipts is that? And I would say, oh, it's about 15 years. So they get 85 years for free. Yeah. I mean, even if you count interest and things like that, you might be at 80 years or 75. That grows every single year. That number grows every single year. Guys, that's bad. Yeah, and property taxes are fighting. Chicago just intends to break the contract and keep the revenue. That's the theory, will work in practice. Yeah, HOA price, I think you're exactly right. I think they're going to have to try to do it. And then I'm sure that they will come up with, I'm sure, like, Dubai's not stupid. You know, I'm sure that they will come up with something that could absolutely cripple, you know, Chicago. I mean, they sold them fair and square. They're just dumb. Like I said, deal with dumb people all the time. Build to advocating for socialism or communism. No. Maria 28, definitely not. Nope. If she is, I'll say it. Show me the country where socialism works long term. It just doesn't. And communism, yeah. Nope. Family from Ukraine, some family in Russia. Yeah. An armed society is a polite society. So true. Exactly right. Well said. Fort Worth, now at 1 million population, red city, wonderful downtown. You can walk around and not be in fear of being killed. You're exactly right, sir. And while their property numbers, they've grown up, right? They've gone from not being a grown-up city to now being a grown-up city. They just are. And you saw that grow up. It's the same thing as Vegas. It's the same thing as a lot of things. Cities just suck because people suck. That can be true. Illinois is so screwed up in that rural sheriffs told that state that they don't try gun confiscation as it isn't going anywhere. Like I said, there is one punchline after another in Illinois and Chicago. It's more than a little bit insane. Just is. Yeah, it just is. All night hider, blue and red, both colors of the same palette. Have and have nots is the real divide. Agreed. Get a financial education and be a have. Without a doubt, the wealth gap is not about income at jobs. The wealth gap is about assets. People that invest in assets win. And for me, what I didn't like about 401k was that it was this magic imaginary thing, right? And you never know if you're going to be in something that the numbers disappear. WorldCom, Enron, Adelphia, SVB Bank, all of these things just disappear. No one really knew, and poof, it's gone, and you get nothing as a shareholder. That's a tough pill to swallow. I'd rather have an income producing asset that, PS, by the way, the butter, the whipped cream on top. Yeah, you guessed it. That's appreciation over time. Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. Brandon, an arms society is a place. Yes, I already read that. Sorry about that. HOA Prez, Illinois is so screwed up in the world. Yes. Amen, Hyder. That's true. Texas is very pro-business. Yep, absolutely. They're very pro-business. They very much are. Just to make sure, Maria, you weren't talking socialism, right? Because, yeah, I'm interested to know if you were. I'd love to hear the argument. Socialism and communism are great for very small groups. Large populations require free market capitalism for universal prosperity. That's true. HOA Prez, state debt has the worst rating and is no longer investment grade. That's true. What's also funny is look at all the hospital systems in Illinois. They're basically all bankrupt. And I tried to sell to a number of them. There are very few hospital systems in Illinois that aren't bankrupt. There are very few. Very few. And it's because they have no clue how to run their hospitals. The question will be, my home ever will be powered by a thorium reactor. That would make my life. Yeah, well, that'd be awesome. Inflation Proof 28. How people who were adults during 2008 still believe in 401ks is mind-blowing to me. Inflation Proof 28, I completely agree with you. I think that 401ks have their place. I think that it should not be the main area that you save or tuck money away. I always looked at it as, somebody's like, well, you're giving up the 3.5% the company's matching. I was like, I'm losing the extra 15% that I can make if I'm just actively investing and trying to make more money. Like, for me, that was the no-brainer for me. Inflation Proof. When I studied Enron, it was crazy. Enron was nuts. I appreciate you bringing that up, Inflation Proof 28, and thank you for coming to the channel. I studied Enron as well. Unbelievable, right? They were literally reselling energy and creating the market for the energy and then putting whatever price they wanted to on it. And people were having to pay that. Unbelievable. Yes, Jen Stewart, you're very smart. You do live in Texas. That's right. Buy income producing assets to index the inflation. You can get rich inflation. Ask me how. That's true. HOA Prez, socialism isn't working, so we need just a little more socialism to make it work. Really, it will. Exactly. Gee, just a little bit more. Fun fact, I personally know someone who was locked up with Bernie Madoff. He told him everything he knew. Oh, dude, that's great. Yeah, legit, dude. I love big financial crime. I spend a ton of time watching documentaries. Enron, Adelphia. If you guys want a phenomenal series, it's called Dirty Money. It's on Netflix. They only did it for 2 seasons, but they've got 17 or 18 in there, 17 or 18 different in there. There's one to watch that was, it's now about Bausch Health. I forget what it was called, but it was a big pharmaceutical company, and unbelievable fraud that they uncovered there. Unbelievable. So watch that stuff. And that's the thing that scares me about these public companies is you think that they're acting on the right but they're not. And a lot of times they can be fraudulent and, make the numbers appear like they want them to appear. I worked for a company that would suspiciously acquire a company every single quarter. The reason that they did that was because they wanted to say pro forma earnings. Well, guess what happened the first quarter that they didn't? Real stuff came out and it wasn't very good. Made off with so much money. Yeah. True. Well, what's really funny is, if you actually look at it now, I want to say his was like 50 something billion, but they recovered like 30 something billion. They recovered like 60 cents on the dollar. That never happens, but a lot of people, they recovered like 60 cents on the, I think it was Bernie that happened with. I'm pretty sure it was. That trustee did a crazy good job. Maria 28, I hate socialism. Love that, Maria. Thank you for clarifying. I used to live in California, but am in Missouri now. I've been to Texas a couple times and love it. Yeah, Texas is awesome. 401k is merely supplemental to retirement investing. Completely agree. Enron, was that Kenneth Lay? Yeah, that was Kenneth Lay. Also look at Health South. There was in that Dirty Money series, there's Health South. There was one for the pharmaceutical company. There were a bunch in there. Matthew, are you still happy you voted for Trump? Absolutely, 1000%. Yep. And as nicely as I can say it, I think people that thought that he was going to take office and everything was going to change, like, I have to explain things like that to my kindergartner, that just because you took vitamins this morning doesn't mean you're going to be super healthy for the rest of your life. Everything is a process. If you saw one of the interviews that I did with Zuber, One Rental at a Time, I said, here's what you can expect. You can expect 90 to 180 days of just pure chaos. We're getting that. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see pure chaos. I wanted to see him going after the sacred calves. I want him doing what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail, which he's done. Where are all the egg comments now? Eggs are now severely down. So it just got yawny, it's like, oh, well, my eggs aren't down. I don't even eat eggs. Like I do. I love eggs, but he is so next level. He is making all of the people, guys, read Sun Tzu Art of War, read The Art of the Deal, read a lot of the things that he's doing. There are things he's talked about in the past. Do you think that Canada can outlast us? There are 3 provinces talking about leaving the Canadian country and becoming states of the US because they know they can't last. Trudeau is a punchline. He's a punchline. As a world leader, the guy's a punchline. Yeah, Bush's connection. I totally agree with you. Yep. Turn it like a hotel as you teach. Love it. All right. Sorry. I'm a few behind. Let me catch up. So yes, Matthew, I'm very happy that I still voted for Trump. Yep. Very happy with that. It was a wise decision. But you know what? In all honesty, we will see in 2 years if what I believe should happen, which is what he was running on, if he was right in 2 years, then it's going to be another wave of red. If he was wrong in 2 years, and we haven't pulled out of it, or there's still issues, or we're still dealing with a bunch of major problems, if that happens, then yeah, it's going to be a reverse the other way. Like, he got a mandate, and I think that if he doesn't do what he said he was going to do, then he kind of deserves to get kicked in the nuts and lose. That's what should happen. But we'll see in 2 years. I'm really willing to give him, like I said, 180 days, kind of litmus test then. Hey, where are we at on all the big issues that you talked about? And then over the next 180 days, how much more progress have we made? When you run a sales organization like I've run many, the most important thing is that you see that things are trending in the right direction, that you're having to make some hard decisions. I've had to fire people before because they weren't that good at the job. And then what we did with their territories and how we planned that out and how we gave that territory to other people, or how we hired then for it, we had an expectation. When we would hire a rep, we would usually have something called a draw, which meant for 6 months that they would get paid a decreasing amount, free money, just for building the territory. And we would give them metrics and we said, this is what we actually want you to hit. That's the way you build a business. If I had expectations that rep was going to come in the first 30 days and blow out his number, it was luck if it happened, because you can't do that. You can't create that and close that in 30 days. But B, if it doesn't happen, I don't want them getting frustrated and being like, this job sucks. I know it's going to take 6 months to build. So I built comp plans that people do what's inspected, not expected. and people do what they're compensated to do. So we would set up compensation plans specific to somebody taking over a territory and managing that. Yeah. Inflation proof. This is what my friend told me Madoff said to him. Madoff was just a scapegoat. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. I studied the Enron situation in the 2008 financial crisis to better understand accounting, politics, and securitization. As did I. I am very versed in those things. There is not a documentary in the world that I haven't watched about that or watched 10 times. HOA price. Trump doing almost everything right so far, at least with shrinking the government. Needed to be done a long time ago. Totally agree. We got to see what that's. I want more time. So right now I feel good. Right now I expected chaos. I want to see at 180 days where he's at. I want to see where he's at in 180. 4D chess. Yeah, I agree, Chester. Kyle? I'm having trouble getting one of my places rented. I may need some help understanding why I'm at a loss. Also having a turnover end of month and starting to advertise and do showing while turn it like hotels you teach. Yeah. So I think we talked about that at the beginning. Watch this live stream and then shoot me a message if you want after that, but watch that. Inflation proof. Let's see. Sorry. Bush's connection to Enron is crazy. I agree. Voting is a contract that comes with terms and zero accountability. Better figure that out before blaming ballot casters. Yeah, I agree. Largely speaking, yes. Inflation proof. That's what's made our buddy the uneducated economist too. Yeah, true. Trump third term? No. Nope. No, thank you. He's the right guy for the job right now. That's it. So no, I don't want a third term. No, thank you. Wealth building journey. I guess PEI, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and Saskatchewan are the three provinces willing to defect to the U.S. Alberta. Alberta's in there. Saskatchewan and Alberta. I can't remember the third, but yeah, Saskatchewan and Alberta. Screw the price of eggs. Let's talk about pumpkin shortage. Pumpkins shouldn't be seasonal. Preach. Grumpy contractor. I'm making your 3.5 hour drive way less boring. You're welcome. Team player. All Nighter Hider. Interesting. I'll check him out. How do you highlight usernames in this comment section? So yeah, uneducated economist, guys, he's dialed in. He knows it. He gets it. I've missed. Usually you'll see me very active in the chat there because I like a lot of what Simon has to say. Just haven't been able to attend. I've been so crazy busy. I'm so far behind with the whole family being sick for what feels like 2 months. And then all the stuff we're trying to get done. Crazy. Yeah, just absolutely crazy. But we're back on the mend. We're making it happen. We're getting the taxes done. All the meetings with the banks should be done. Taxes, we're just waiting for the final package to come back. And yeah, getting a lot of, hold on one second. Okay. Dear God, the Bruins are never going to win a game again. Good. I hope the GM gets fired. I hope the coach gets fired. I'm a Bruins fan. And what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. It's a world-class organization that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely have turned into a punchline. What an embarrassment. Wealth building journey. That makes sense. Bordering fiscally sound states like the Dakotas, Montana, and Idaho. Yeah. Well, I think that they're also the major cities there are more home felt major cities. They're not like the crazies. Vancouver is full of crazies. Like they love to riot and destroy their own stuff. Montreal thinks that they're still the smartest people in the world. I had my fill of that working for a Canadian company. That was a joke. Well, see, you just need to do it differently. Yeah, I see how you're doing it. It's not working. That's what I see. I see that you did it 6 months your own way, and I saw none of it work. And I saw you not live up to any of your promises. So yeah, you Canadians really, you Frenchies really have it figured out. Crushed it. So guys, it's 11. It's been a fantastic time spending time with you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Boot campers, we are on week seven this week, I think 7 or 8. I'm excited to see you guys on Saturday night. Lots coming. Oh yeah, you guys definitely, please. If you guys are doing anything about, if you guys are doing anything with Venmo and you want to see uneducated economists present from Rebel Capitalist, please make sure you do that. Check out Jen Stewart. You just saw her down there below. Make sure that you check her out. Look not only for if you want to grow your business, talk to her about how her VAs and how her wholesalers help you do that. And also what loans she might be able to help you with. Very, very awesome. Dion, always a liberal. Every time you hit the like button, the liberal vote red. Dear God. Yeah. I mean, I abbreviate a lot. Inflation. I understand. That makes sense. But guys, have a fantastic week. Look forward to seeing the boot camp. I'm waiting for the message that says that they're done sanding over at the other house. Not checking on it because I don't need to. But they just said, yeah, we'll be done sanding, this week or next. Thank you for posting that again, Hyder. If you guys want to know about the course, just go to lumberjacklandlord.com and watch the syllabus. That's what we cover in the course. And if you're in the boot camp, anybody that's attended the boot camp, you guys can give feedback now if it was worth it. Pretty sure that they would say it was more than worth it. Most of them save as much money as the course costs in the first few months that they start implementing some of this stuff. But you guys can always ask the chat, is the course worth it? I don't know. Ask them. A bunch of people here have taken it. So guys, have a fantastic week. Absolutely love spending this time with you. I appreciate y'all spending time with me. And we will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye, guys.